proudest day, and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally podcast. And Connor, we're flying through the 2025 season, and we're going to look back now at Donegal and for the Rally2 guys.
Yeah, look, we have a fantastic lineup from the sharp end of Donegal. What do you call it? With David Kelly and Arthur Kierans, Meirion Evans joins us, Andy Hayes and Liam Regan, and you know, like, it was such an epic battle in Donegal. It really was so close. You couldn't have called it, you know, until near enough the last stage. And it was, I suppose, it's really our chance to catch up and really, you know.
That's for sure. And we also catch up with a guy who brought a car over that caught a lot of attention, Tony Sheilds, who brought the replica of Vincent Bonner's 1990 car over, the Manta, over as well. And that seemed to catch a lot of people's attention over the weekend.
Yeah, like a beautifully finished car. The fact it was that iconic livery of Vincent's, and it was the first competitive outing for the Manta, for this particular Manta as well.
Yeah, I think Tony had used it in a few show events and one thing and another, but actually to come over, I think it was a huge commitment on his part, like a car, to do what he done with it, and loved it, and the people loved it to see it as well too, which is great to see.
Yeah, and a brave move to take it out on a such as Donegal, and he brought it home in one piece.
Yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, the fight at the top of the field, you know, we said before Donegal it was going to be something special, and I think it turned out that way. In fairness to Callum and Noel, they controlled the rally. A few people nibbled at them, but they practically led from the start. Yeah, I think they were second or joint first or something after the second stage, but other than that, it was, I wouldn't say plain sailing, that wouldn't be fair, and the rest of them guys, but Callum and Noel just seemed to take it all in their stride.
They absolutely did. And the thing was, in watching them, you kind of felt there's more there if they needed it as well. You know, at no point did you ever say or look at and go, God, Callum is on the limit here, on the ragged edge. You never had that impression. So you always felt there's a little bit more in reserve if he needed to dig it out.
Mm-hmm. And like the Skoda really has, like, and it seems to be the Skoda and the Yaris, it seems to be the car to have at the moment. Like, and the Skoda just seems to be that wee bit more settled than Irish Tar.
I suppose it's probably had a longer run on Irish Tar in that sense, and you know, at this stage is well set up. Like we saw Callum take the car out for the first time in last year's Donegal, but the Yaris, like, you could see the improvements as Meirion and William got into the event, and as Friday progressed, and particularly Saturday, like some cracking times been set by both of them on Saturday. You could see they were getting closer to the very front end pace as the day went on, and you know, unfortunately for William and Liam, a puncture got them in the end.
Yeah, and like, you know, we'll hear from the guys too, just the way the pace has just increased again. We keep thinking this can't get any faster, this is insane, and yet, you know, we're hearing guys coming off and, like, you know, 5, 6, 7 seconds a stage quicker than they were last year.
Yeah, that's just incredible. Just absolutely blew me away. I'm so surprised to see the times and the times differences, you know, on stages that were virtually identical, you know, in the way they were run again this year, and just the times being set. It's, you know, we're blown away a lot by how much pace there is and how little separates, and it's tenths of seconds, but it's just nuts now to see they're all still continuing to improve.
Yeah, and then, you know, we had Padden coming over, Wall first time in a Rally2 car, John Armstrong coming over, John's first time competing in Donegal. You know, John over the weekend was probably set more fastest times than anybody, but just unfortunately, a few gremlins in the car.
Yeah, look, Friday didn't go his way at all. There was just a couple of issues there with the car, and then last stage on of the unfanned head on Sunday, just got caught out not too far to the end of the stage either, and it was just game over. It was just so unfortunate for him. Like, he did come and put up a bit like West Cork, came put up a really good show considering he's not that familiar on Irish tarmac. Really, most of John's experience now is all international, if you think about it, which is a bit mad.
It is, that's for sure. But I suppose the good thing from us as spectators' point of view, a lot of guys with unfinished business, so hopefully 2026 will be even better.
Well, that's it. Patton even mentioned that he had unfinished business in Donegal, so you kind of hope they've all been bitten by the bug and we will see them back.
Yeah, so anyway, let's hear from the guys from 2025. Once again, but what a fantastic result for you. You have to be happy.
Yeah, it was honestly the race from the start we knew was going to be big, and it was, to be fair, delivered. But obviously, I think there was 5 or 6 was probably there to win, and only one could win. And we were second again. Obviously, we'd have liked to have come away with a win, but I think I've said to a good few people in the weeks after the rally that it didn't feel as bad because I felt like it was probably the best race of my career, and I just enjoyed that so much. So it'd be nice to win, but. It was still. I think we felt we achieved something with second.
Yeah, because it probably has been one of the strongest lineups there has been in a good few years. Like when you have the likes of Hayden Padden coming over, John Armstrong. There was probably more hype about it that who was going to win this year, and I think a lot of the guys that were coming consistently nearly get forgot about.
Yeah, well, I think I said to Liam actually in the build-up to the rally, I said nobody's talking about Callum. And there's so much hype on John and Hayden, I guess. Which naturally there would be. They're European Championship guys. Hayden's obviously won at world level, so you bring these guys, it's going to bring a lot of attention. But I think it was still nice that we could race them. The quality from the start was clear. Like John put some times in on the first day, and he had some issues, obviously, but it just showed like that. Probably the level was higher than maybe even we thought it could be. So you just had to go with it, and it worked out not too bad for us. Maybe the established Donegal competitors in the end. But I actually said in the truck in the last service Saturday, I said not a lot's happened yet. I said surely it can't wait till Sunday again, and then there it was.
Mm-hmm. I guess Dave, for yourself too, you come away with third last year. And you thought if you were going this year, if you could even get anywhere near that, you'd be very happy with all these star names and one thing and another. But you had a really consistent weekend, no dramas, no fuss, and was in the mix right from the start.
Yeah, we're over the moon. How it went for us, as Meirion says, I suppose it was a massive build-up to Donegal this year with everyone coming, and it was kind of hard to know where the pace was at. We kind of knew the pace was always big in Donegal, but I didn't know that it was going to be even bigger this year. But look, it definitely did lift the pace with the other guys coming. But we just had a very clean rally. We had very little issues, no mistakes, and I think that just all that kind of time that we didn't lose added up at the end, and we just happened to be there, so it was good.
Mm-hmm. And Arthur, he did drive an exceptional rally, very clean, no big dramas, no fuss, and that was just exactly what was needed, and the result proved it at the end.
Yeah, exactly, Kevin. And we'll just comparing to the stages that was done, similar to last year. David's times were even up from that. A good few seconds. Oh, yeah, they drove extremely well, nice and clean and tidy. Like we did the Maiden City, and we were leading it, and we had an overshoot on it. We lost the rally over that, and David, he said we'd playing a good effort in Donegal and trying not to make any mistakes, and that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Liam, that was the first time coming to Ireland in the years. We kind of always think, the pace is hot here, but we're not really sure where we're at compared to with the European or the British Championships and one thing and another. But it shows that the pace here is as strong as anywhere.
Yeah, but to be honest, Kevin, that's no surprise to most of us. Remember when Craig came back in 2019? I think that showed that the Irish pace is really high. Whenever you have drivers who have done their rallies year in, year out, it's very hard for someone to come back and just take a step ahead of them. So no, I'm not surprised at what Callum and Meirion and David, were able to do there. So it's a credit to them. But I mean, we found that in the French Championship last year with Chris. You go to like a local French Championship round, and all the top boys are so fast. So yes, it's very high in Ireland, but I think you find that in the local regional championships.
And you just have to be I know the slow punching that put you off, but the pace was very strong all through Friday and most of Saturday as well. You have to be content with what the pace was.
Yeah, well, I mean, our pace on Friday we were struggling, to be honest, with the setup because we've never driven the car on Irish tarmac. Before Donegal, we'd done 2 rallies in 8 months, so we were lacking on the seat time, to be honest. So we sort of hung on the Friday. The character of those stages was quite specific compared to the rest of the rally. So as we got into Saturday, we were starting to get somewhere with the car, but we got a couple of quickest times, and we're quickest on Nogala, which we really didn't think was going to happen. We're genuinely just trying to learn the car and get up to speed with it. So the pump in a few times like that, we were very happy.
And Andy, from your point of view too, the guys are saying that even the pace, even from last year, has gone up another wee notch. We keep saying that this is it. You are driving at 99%. There's nothing more, but there always is that wee fraction more every time.
Yeah, there's a bit more actually that happens that I didn't probably realise. Everyone probably did the same, check against some of the times from last year. Lads might correct me, but I think Lockheed was the exact same as last year and same conditions. And I think this year we went maybe 7 seconds quicker than last year over it. The time from this year would have won the stage last year, but this year it was 5 off quickest. So, it just gives you an idea that, from our side of things, we definitely went better this year in the car than we did last year, and with the by changing car. But things moved on so much in the meantime that's just not enough. So lads have just moved on another pace again.
And you say you feel the car is better. The car below you are better. You feel it's going really fast. It must be like a real sort of like downer then when you come to the end and. It's only 5 seconds, but it's the difference between being fastest and being 5th or 6th fastest.
Yeah, I know how Meirion Evans feels now. Yeah. I don't know. It is like I suppose. Like Josh, obviously very, very comfortable in that car and driving very, very well, and everything was just clicking and everything was just right. And I suppose if you were 3 years ago, you're probably in the exact same car on the same stage, in the same pace, you're probably winning stages. But as I said, everything's moved on a bit, and I suppose let's call a spade a spade. The car is just too old, and it is like you're flying along and you're kind of hoping maybe that was good enough to be thereabouts, and then you check the time and no, it wasn't. So feels like it's a bit of an end of an era for the Hyundai, unfortunately. Feels like it's just
made me sick, that car.
Yeah, finally ran out on it. So
I've been second to cars much of my life.
Yeah, but look at that. To be fair, we bet Meirion in it plenty, so it was well worth it. I think that car is damn near as old as Arthur Kierans now, is it? Or?
Well, Andy, thank you.
Arthur's not that old. But Meirion, you sampled a good few of the Rally 5 or R5 Rally2 cars, and it is just there's no major jumps. It's just these wee small refinements, and every time there's a new evolution of a car. It's all those wee small bits makes a huge difference at the end of it all.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think it's what everybody's kind of realised in the last 2-3 years as well. I think people have accepted that Rally 2 isn't really going to be that massive jump anymore. And you have to try and find things not just in the car, but I think in yourself as well. I think the level of analysing that gets done, watching onboards and everything, I'm sure the boys that would have claimed to have less experience at the stages would have spent hours and hours watching videos before getting there. So, there's so much you can do as well, And to be honest with you, what Andy was saying now, when we got to the end of Glen on the Saturday morning and Jer said that's 7 seconds faster than fastest last year, I thought we'd have won the stage, but John took 6 off us, and it blew my mind a bit, that did. But I mean, but the thing is, when you bring these drivers, I mean, it makes you realise that there's more, and you can always go and try and find more.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, have you studied your own car from that? Now, can you see where you got the 6 seconds, or is it still kind of a bit of a mystery?
I think to get 6, you'd have to go a bit mad. You can always see 2 or 3, to be fair, but like for that margin, I think it's a brain out job. I mean, I think the bump that we all had the moment on last year, I don't think John really worried about that by all accounts. So yeah, it's one of those. I think you can take risks, but I don't think you can do that every stage and get away with it, I suppose. But no, he did get away with it, to be fair.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be trying to do that for 20 stages. Yeah, maybe
No, I
two or
don't.
three.
I don't think it's feasible or practical to do that. To be fair, I mean, if you can pick it on like 1 or 2 stages, get away with it, and manage on the rest, that's the way to do it. But it's still tricky.
And Connor, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I suppose on that, and this is for Andy. You know, as a spectator watching yourself and Josh, like the car, like Josh was wringing the neck out of that Hyundai. Did you feel that pace yourself? Was there any more to get out of that car, or were you really on the limit? Because it did look like it at times.
Yeah, it felt like a very strong pace. Like we were having moments fairly regularly all throughout the weekend, and nothing had gone wrong, if you know what I mean. For the most part, we were on the right tires all weekend. Maybe Sunday morning we were a little bit cautious with the tire on the first loop, but other than that, like we're probably on the right tires. Notes and all, everything felt good. Josh was in great form. The car ran perfectly, or close on perfectly all weekend. Like so, yeah, you feel like you're going pretty much as hard as comfortably you can go. As Meirion said, yeah, there's probably another little step in it if you want to, really kind of push the boat all together. But where we were kind of, hovering around 4th and 5th place and that kind of stuff, really didn't make sense to go and stick your neck out and start taking massive chances to go from 5th to 4th, or maybe from 4th to 3rd, if you know what I mean. It'd be different if you were second and you were 10 seconds off the lead or 15 off the lead. Then yeah, you might stick the neck out and take a few extra chances. But other than that, no, pretty much it felt probably as good as, say, go back a couple of years ago to 2022, like maybe that year, and it felt a similar kind of pace. Like, but unfortunately, just not enough anymore. As Meirion said, things move on every year, bit by bit. You don't really see it, but it all adds up over a few years,
And Dave, you went with a plan there, which was pretty much keep your nose clean, and what you achieved. Was it difficult to try and stay out of getting sucked into that high speed chase that was going on at the very front?
No, I suppose it wasn't like that we were trying to. We were kind of just going as fast as we could and being comfortable. I suppose as Arthur touched on there, the Maiden City was one of the ones that kind of was in the back of my head. Like I had an overshoot in the Maiden City, and it would have been my first rally win, and it was like I kind of threw it away on an overshoot. And he's like, "Well, I'm not doing that in Donegal now, like, so I'm just going to go and have a clean rally." We had a couple of overshoots in Donegal last year and different things, so it was more like about being clean and kind of going as fast as I could and not taking any massive risks. As Meirion says there's always time in taking a bit of risk, but suppose I just kind of calculated the risk over the weekend and didn't take any massive risk, and just all worked out.
Yeah, Meirion, the Aris seemed to really come. I suppose as the event went on, the Aris really seemed to get suited, and you got it well adjusted for it. Like, is there much more tweaking there, or do you think that is really it now at its more or less maximum for Irish tarmac?
No, I think there's a bit more in it, to be honest, especially with stages like we had on the first day. I think it was pretty clear that both of us, even though I've had a bit more time, I think both of us probably weren't as quick as we could be on the first day, because I think me and William were like 0.2 apart at the end of the first day. But again, when you look at my gap to Callum in the end, all my time was gone on the first day when you take into account we had a puncher in Glen on the second day. So, obviously there's a little gap there that we need to look at, and if we can sort that, then there's a little bit more we can find. But Toyota are still working a lot on the car. I mean, there's little bits of performance that can come from a good few areas yet, but again, like, it won't be massive, but yeah, we can see there's little bits that we can still improve on.
Yeah, because Meirion, like we spoke before the ceremonial start, and you were saying like the car you brought to Donegal last year compared to the car you brought this year, like that was not completely different, but it was like it was a good step forward. I think that's the thing. Yeah. There is always development, to be fair, especially with the new cars.
Like, even when we turned to Killarney, the car out in Killarney and Donegal was quite similar, in fairness. And when we did the test for Killarney, Jer hadn't really been in the car since Donegal the year before, because we obviously just did the test for the Core 20 and then the rally got cancelled and everything. So then Jer said, like, you'd almost say the car was bad this time last year. Like, it wasn't, but like compared to what it is now, it's unrecognisable almost. It's come on so much, There's the engine has improved a good bit through mapping this year, and then the chassis as well has made some good steps from last year as well. So put it all together in a package, and it feels quite different.
And Liam, from your point of view as well, too, from yourself and Will, like getting in, some people have said, adapting to the noise a 3-cylinder engine makes, it's, it takes a wee bit of, fine tuning where everyone's at. Do you notice that coming from the co-driver seat, or is that more a driver would be picking up on that?
Yeah, the noise of the car is really different, actually. On the road sections, it's not the nicest car. No, it's really not the nicest car to be in on the road section. But whenever it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, it's you don't even register the sound of the car, to be honest. So, no, it's not such a big thing, to be honest.
Yeah, and you've sat in a few cars now over the years, and these Yaris and these latest cars, are they the ultimate almost at this stage?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough I think I've sat in pretty much all of them. As we touched on earlier, the cars are all very similar, but there's certain profiles of stages will suit certain cars. So, as Meirion said earlier, it's just about getting the balance over all the different types of stages. So, the Yaris might suit one stage, the RS Fabia the next, the Polo might still suit a stage. So, there's small differences in them, but they're all pretty level playing field, very close. Obviously, the Polo and the Hyundai are getting a wee bit long in the tooth at the minute, but still competitive, obviously. But yeah, I mean, these cars are so advanced. Compared to the first R5 I sat on was maybe the DS3. I don't know if anybody else has been in one of those, but that was like a skateboard.
I've been upside down on one.
Yeah. That's easy done. So yeah, I mean, the development that's going in, I mean, even the development that the factory teams in inverted commas are still doing, they're still pushing on. So whilst they have come a long way, these Rally2 cars, we know there's still more coming from them.
I guess, Dave, that's probably the thing with the Polo. Even though it is, in inverted commas, one of the first R5 cars, the fact that you're able to still punch in the times shows how good a car it was initially and it still is today.
Yeah, I suppose for me, it kind of comes from I've had 3 of them, say R5 cars now, and I think for me, it's what car I'm most comfortable in, and if you kind of get comfortable and get a good feeling in the car, it's you're 80% the way there, really. The cars are all they're all very similar, but I just get a good feeling from the Polo. But look, I would say the Polo after this year we'll probably have to look maybe a bit upgrading it. It's not going to be good forever, but it's just I just get a good feeling from the Polo, and it kind of just gives me good confidence. And that's probably the biggest thing for me. Probably isn't it wouldn't be the strongest engine, but the chassis is good, and it gives you a good feeling,
Because confidence and feel, as you say, is 80% of the other bits you can kind of have to work around.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was the big thing from my transition out of the Citroen to the Polo. I found it was a night and day difference. So look, I haven't had a chance to try one of the newer cars, but hopefully if we do get a chance to try one of them, I'd say maybe it'll be a step forward again.
Meirion still goes to sleep in a Polo. Actually, he still loves his Polo, so he's got one in the shed there that he just sits in and makes car noises during the day.
Still a car that I sold, man.
Well, there's still one in the shed.
There's 2 in there now. One of them's not ours, but it's still there, and it's still a Polo. So
he pets it as he walks past it every morning.
There's still a great car. What I'll say about the Polo was I think it was the car that properly set the bar for Rally2. It was the one that kind of went. Probably it was way ahead of its time back in 2019. And then I don't think you'll see that jump again because everybody now is so aware of what they're doing and on top of everything. I think Volkswagen kind of raised it a bit back then, but everybody else has probably caught up on a bit more now.
Yeah, right. Because I suppose at that time the Polo was the works team that was scaled back, but them engineers, those guys were still they were transferred across to that development, and they brought all that skill and initiative with them, and just as you say, refined the whole thing, and everybody else then had to up their game to find that pace as well.
Yeah, and they went to crazy measures to find performance in the car as well, even with the intercooler and stuff. It was mad, what they did. I mean, a lot they could have just copied off Skoda in that sense, but they didn't, and they went their own way with it, and it paid off in the end.
Mm-hmm. And do you still be kind of keeping an eye on the development of, say the Skoda, because it was a similar platform to the Polo? And do you see how they're refining it and making it better now?
Yeah. I mean, I think Skoda it's the same platform, but the geometry is all quite different. So I'm not sure if it would feel much like that. I've never driven one, but yeah, I think it looks a pretty stable car, which is the Polo was in fairness. But yeah, I don't know much about the Skoda, but obviously they're moving on all the time. I mean, from what I see, I don't know if it's because I'm involved with the Toyota more, but Skoda seem to sort of all the development is kept well under wraps. I mean, there don't seem to be many cameras or anything turning up at their tests. With Toyota, seem to get a bit more publicity when they're testing. So yeah, but it doesn't. There's obviously a lot of work going on with everyone.
Mm-hmm. And the Toyota is probably in similar vein. It is, the guys that was developing the Rally 1 car, some of them were brought across onto the Rally 2 programme as well. And they went to extreme measures to develop the Yaris as well too. And it's now starting to filter in now to private hands. It was very exclusive at the start, but it is now starting to filter down through, and that has to be good for everybody then as well.
Yeah, it's very good. I mean, for me, I'd love to see more. I don't want to be the only guy rallying a Toyota in this country, So, I mean, the car's obviously good enough, and in fairness, like the project at the start for Toyota was tricky because there was so many. It was actually quite a new team. There was a few engineers from Rally 1 drafted across, but like it was mostly people purely on a Rally 2 project, and obviously there was challenges as well with making a 3-cylinder engine work in the class as well, because that's never been done before. So yeah, look, the engine feels pretty good to me, so it's all kind of come together quite well, I would say, this year. The first year is always going to be a bit tricky, when you have so many new things like that, and especially with the engine as well. I mean, like Liam was saying, it vibrates so much on the road section and everything. I mean, the most comfortable road section I had in the Irish was Donegal last year, where we had a problem with a prop shaft at the end of day one. So the boys took the prop off in the last service, and I drove back from Candona to Letterkenny without a prop shaft, and it was lovely.
That's a bit extreme to get.
Yeah, it was good. I asked if we could have a mechanic on the start line to put a prop in for me.
But Andy, I suppose we should touch on Donegal too. Like, it was this year, like right from the ceremonial start. Maybe the good weather helped as well, but the crowds and everything was just massive everywhere.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic rally actually. The great crowd, great buzz around on the Thursday night. But those stages on Friday are brilliant as well. I know it's a long drive up there, and when you're wrecking and all the rest, you're saying, "Oh, Jesus, this is hardship." But I think that loop of stages on the Friday is fantastic. And the fact that it was mixed up a bit this year as well is nice. Just it's nice to have a few different variations of stages and not to have the same thing every year. So I thought that was brilliant. And then sure, the likes of the Saturday stuff there, Knockall and all those are classic stages. You just love going over them. So yeah, as a rally, like as I keep saying, apart from Exeter, it's the rally of the year. Really.
Andy, you say they get at all the classics, but with wee variations on them, and that that provides its own challenge. Then it's not just a copy and paste from the previous years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that my more gap stage, the second half of that is unbelievable. The really, really fast. The lads will say the same. You go downhill, turn square right, and then towards the end, it's a real blast. But then the change up the start of the stage and made that really nice too, and then by the water as well. So just made a really, really, really nice stage out of that. And Malin Head itself then is a gorgeous stage as well. I love that. It's great picking good stages and doing them year on year, but I just love the bit of variation every year just to keep things a little more interesting and keep things fresh. And I suppose probably just levels the playing field a little bit as well. As Liam mentioned there, it's no matter how good the team is, if you're coming in and someone's been there for 4 or 5 years doing the same stages, it's very difficult to just blend in, and we go straight to that pace. Whereas just mix it up a little bit every year, even not so much, I think just helps level the playing field and makes it a fair fight for everyone.
Yeah, I could Liam, that was a good point there, because for the likes of Padden and that coming over here, it's difficult enough to come over here and get the car set up to his liking, but then to have to compete against guys that's done the same stages for the last 7 or 8 years, even reversing the stages and changing the start of Malmore Gap and things, all those wee things just do level it out a wee bit.
Yeah, as Andy said there, it's so difficult to race the guys who have been doing the same road 4 or 5 years. You're not going to come in and take a second to care to them. So whenever the club do make changes, it certainly helps. Like, I mean, John Armstrong had never done the rally before. Padden obviously had never done the rally before. We done it in 16 and 17 and crashed both times. So we went for a hat-trick there this year, which is not a record we want to keep up, to be honest. Can't really blame them this year, right enough. But no, look, it needs to be a wee bit different. It can't be like a racetrack. I mean, it's just, it keeps it interesting, keeps a level playing field. I mean, really, I'm sure Callum would even say as well, he doesn't want it being the same, I'm sure. Like, yeah, you need to spice it up a bit and keep everything interesting.
Because Arthur, like, I'm sure you've done Donegal more times than you probably care to remember. But like, it is about reinventing it sometimes and changing it around. Like it seems to be that the Friday always gets that changed around. It's been Donegal Town, and it's been shown now for the last couple of years. It needs that as well.
Oh, indeed it does. Yeah, it does. I'm sure Donegal have the capacity to do that. You can go to Donegal Town there and run stages around it, and then you can go to Malin. And there so the stages there, Leather League and all. Can be used too. There's plenty of piles of roads and piles of stages.
What year was your first Donegal, Arthur?
Well, I did Donegal. I did it 30 years ago.
30 years.
Yeah. James Cullen was the Wrangler. Oscar Cosworth, Bertie Fisher was there. Austin McHale. I was the late Joe McGurk in the Mark II. We had a great battle with Connie Smith in the black Mark II and Cathal Rogers in the red Mark II.
Were you in a black Mark II that year?
No, we had the blue. Joe had a 2 litre black, 2 litre Cosworth blue Mark II. Yeah. Joe eventually got that car, right? Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
He had the sleek at the last, didn't he? Yeah.
No, yeah.
No, it's the 95 then. Thanks, Jesus.
It took me 30 years to get the podium.
Well, it was hard. Well done. You're like Nico Rosberg there yesterday, or Nico Hulkenberg.
It was quite nice to see, at the end of
it was one of the best Donegals ever. The fastest as well. It was great. It was, David drove extremely well, and the car, the team, and all performed very well, and everything went according to plan.
And Hulkenberg was nearly on the same wages as you, Arthur. So
nearly.
It was great to see at the end of Fanad, when obviously it was unfortunate John had gone off, but like when the boys realised they got third, like it was nice to see Arthur's reaction, because he's been around quite a long time, and to see that it still meant something to him was nice.
Yeah. When we had settled for fourth, going into the last stage, and when we were waiting, we weren't really waiting, John. It was Mr. Moffat who were waiting. I was expecting him to pull something out of the bag all the time. But,
no, we said the same. We said it'd be nice to see a pensioner on the podium, so
I would bus pass.
Arthur, you're still getting the same buzz from rallying now as you were 30 years ago.
Oh yeah, it's even a better buzz. You see, those R5 cars drove well, and the speed, the speed that they can go around a corner is unbelievable, and it's just some thrill.
Over that 30 years, you have seen huge developments. Like every time like the Group A cars, we thought they're never going to be equal. Then the World cars come along, they up the game, and then the two, they got up and up and up. The S12B ultimate tarmac car. And if we've seen it now, it would probably look like they look so unwieldy now. It's unbelievable now.
I did Donegal, in Mark IIs, even the spec of them now. They've come on. We did them in old ZF boxes, and you'd be putting in a clutch maybe every day, maybe and changing the box maybe once a day as well. I've seen us putting in with Joe. We put in a gearbox or clutch Saturday night and finish the Sunday morning on the way to Malin, maybe.
At the side of the road too, Arthur.
Yeah. I was going to say, back of the
van. Chase car.
Yeah, well, it was chase that time. Well, yeah, it was. That chase, only for that time, they kept the cars going. They took it.
Yes. And like Meirion, even for yourselves as a team, like Donegal has been a huge thing for you as well too. You've been coming there now, 12 or 13 years now, really, at this stage.
Yeah, I think I don't think we were there before the first year was Gary in 12. We won, and then obviously I think we weren't there in 13, and then every year since then, yeah.
Like you said, Darren Gass a year then. And
Darren in 14, yeah, and then we didn't run a car in 15, but I was there. I just went to watch, and then from 16 on, then every year. But it's kind of one of those now. I think we finished second twice and third once. I think it's I don't know, but it's one of those. I mean, I don't get hung up on it. I mean, if it happens, it happens. It's kind of. I don't, I know, like from running Manus in those days, like Donna was pining, like he wanted it so much, you could almost like know it wasn't going to happen. Almost, it was. It kind of becomes such a thing that it was always going to be, tricky to get it done. So, yeah.
Would you rather win Ceredigion or Donegal, Meirion?
To be honest, with Ceredigion in the European Championship, I'd take that. To be honest, but yeah, it's the thing with Ceredigion. Like there's the regroup this year. I think like is in Lampeter, which is half a mile from my house. But like I know the stages in Donegal better. That's
a good line to come off with anyway.
Yeah.
You said it in July that you didn't know the stages.
But it's like you say, like Padden come to Donegal. It's always for me it's a bigger challenge than Ceredigion. Like because when he turned up last year to Ceredigion, he'd probably know as much about the stages as I did because he did the rally in 22, and I crashed on the second stage, so like I wouldn't have seen much of the rally really.
He did say that. To be fair, he said that he would have more. He had more knowledge than most last year. In fairness to him,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
He did, sure. But he made it count as well. So
yeah.
And the Gandhi, you have been lucky enough. You yourself and Josh have won Donegal and all too. The hype has got bigger and bigger every year. Before Donegal, Josh always says that Donegal was just another rally, but he kind of admitted afterwards, it was a wee bit special. What is it that makes it that bit different from the rest of the events?
I don't know. I found the same actually. I didn't probably really appreciate it when we won it. I remember actually coming off the finish line, Atlantic Drive, and driving down Long, and it just felt like winning any rally. To be honest with you, we were happy, but we didn't really realise. It was only kind of dawned on me that was the 50th year, obviously, and Donna had all the guys there, all the previous winners, and I just started to dawn on me then. But I don't know. I think I was in the pub for the next 8 nights in a row, and probably the following Monday week then when I came out of it I realised. But I don't know. I suppose maybe the difference is like in Ireland, rallying obviously is a pretty minority sport. And you're out there yesterday in Ravens Rock, or I was in Cavan, say for instance, and obviously the people that are into rally know the rally's on and know the result and that kind of stuff, but outside of that no one really knows what's going on. Whereas I find with like Donegal, it's one of the few events where it actually gets attention around the country and people understand what it means, and people will ask how'd you go on Donegal, and that's a big event and that kind of stuff. So it's nice to have a couple of events like that where the rallying is brought kind of out from just be kind of hidden away in different parts of the country, and it's on the national media, it's on the radio and all that kind of stuff. So I think that in itself, just a bit of publicity, a big crowd going, a bit of a build up to it, even if a lot of build up is to do with the fringes of the rally rather than the stages itself. I think that whole thing just adds to the spectacle and adds to the buzz around the whole thing,
Yeah, because Liam, you see, something like the Northwest 200, it's not just about the racing, the bikes going down. It's a kind of a festival. It's a kind of there's a whole lot more to it than just bikes. And I think rallying could learn a lot from that too. There's a lot more we could do to kind of involve the public. We've seen there somebody has footage up of just going out. I think it was the stages on the Friday, and the kids out along the side of the road cheering you on. Wee things like that there makes a huge difference and gets positive vibes out there about rally.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Northwest probably runs for more than 3 days, does it, with the practice and the race there. So, I mean, I think actually I was at a touring car race last year, the BTCC, and it was a really impressive, slick event. And I thought to myself, Irish rallying could learn a bit from this. Yes, it's harder for rallying, obviously, because it's a moving circus. It's not a track and everyone's in the one place. But Yeah, certainly it probably needs to be marketed to the general public, as Andy said. Like Sebastian Loeb could walk down the main street in Belfast here, like, and no one would have a clue who he is. But, so the sport is small, and yes, it does need to grow. I mean, with Rally Ireland nearly coming here, that was disappointing because obviously the sport would have grown had that event, arrived here. Hopefully it will in the future, but I just know, speaking to the people involved, it's very difficult to get the event here without the governments being on board. So, yeah, we could learn from that. I mean, the Northwest coverage online is very good, and I know Rallying has made some good steps forward in that. On that front. So, yeah, I think we can still be proud of where the sport's going compared to where it was when Arthur done it in 1995. Like, and Brian and Liz were printing things out the back of an estate car. Look where it is now compared to that. Like, but yeah, I mean, it is still an exciting time. There's a lot of money being spent in Irish rallying, so it helps the economy obviously too when it comes to those towns. And then it gets to the really big events like Wexford there.
That's for sure. And like Meirion, like as a business, like it has to be for your sponsors and all, they need a return. So they obviously see Donegal as being value for money, and they're prepared to put their name in the car to send you over there as well too. So like you just have to do something then to show faith that they have put their faith in you.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Donegal last year was very good for Castrol. Actually, they were quite impressed with the whole thing, so they wanted to go back this year as well. So yeah, I mean, I think while the British Championship seems to be marketed well in terms of like the TV coverage and everything, I think the size of the event in Ireland, in fairness, like any of the rallies in the Tarmac Championship, are that much bigger, and it draws, I'd say, a good bit more crowd than what I'd say every round of the British Championship, maybe apart from Ceredigion, and that's the only one that could compete in terms of numbers. But yeah, I think that's what they liked about it, was just the size of it and how much people talk about it on social media and everything for the week of the rally, really, and how much buzz it creates. So yeah, I mean, as well as that, I mean, Ireland is quite a small country, and it's, I think, compared to the UK, rallying is more at the forefront than what in Ireland compared to over here then. So I think it gets a bit more coverage in general, and they enjoy that.
And like you've seen what the ERC's bringing to your local area too. Do you think has it been viewed as being positive, like bringing like a European Championship to Wales? Massively.
I mean, this area, it's the biggest event in this area by some way, I would say. It's taken, I think the thing is, the rally's only run, I think this is the 5th time this year. So it's just quite a new event still, but we're quite lucky the part of the world we live in. It's like going to Donegal or West Cork or Killarney, whereas we're quite, a lot of the people know what motorsport is, So that's helped, but still it takes a lot of educating because we've never had closed road events before 2018. So like there's been a lot of educating, but the event has helped a lot with that, and people have, once they've seen it once, it seems to be that they warm to it pretty quickly, and they see that it's more professional than just a bunch of boys going out and doing donuts in their cars and having a slide about. There's a lot more to it than that. So yeah, I think now I'd say the event is largely supported in this area. You get the odd idiot who just wants to make a name for themselves on Facebook or whatever and object to it, but I mean, there was a post put up on the council Facebook page the other day, and like I'd say 90% of the people were well in support of it, and they want to go and watch it in the town and everything with a town stage. And I think importantly, is spend the money with in the local area, which I guess is what it's all for at the end.
And Conor, you want to jump in there again?
Yeah, I suppose just go to Arthur here for this one. Like, personally, I felt it as a spectator. It was a really, really very smoothly run event this year. Seemed to be, everything ran on more or less on time. There was no stages cancelled, no issues getting to and from the stages. Did you see that as a competitor as well?
Yeah, and fair play to the Gardaí, the traffic and all well organised. We had no problem coming off stages, getting into service. No traffic jams. That's another big part here because the crowds. I remember when going over Mamore Gap and lifted my head and go down the hill. That whole left hand side was like a football stadium. Right, the whole what would be a kilometre maybe down the hill. That was
Yeah.
just jam-packed with spectators. You know, even to manage those people to get them in there, you know, alone was a big task. You know, fair play to the Gardaí and the organisers. They've done a great job that way. You know, that's a mammoth task to do that. Traffic management and
No, I would say this year as well. I thought there seemed to be. I don't know if it's just me, but I thought there was more rally spectators about in terms of like people watching on the stages. I think maybe a bit less of the differs and stuff, but it seemed to me like there was just some more rally people and the stages were packed. I thought for like 3 days.
Yeah, like I know when I was up in Knockalla for the first run, just the volume of people that were coming up that hill in for the stage. I don't know whether that was because it was run a bit later, but I don't know. Andy, did you kind of notice the size of the crowds when you were going up the first run?
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah, we were only talking about it, and it was massive. I suppose looking at the good weather probably helps in the fact that everyone kind of knew it was going to be good. But that said, there's still the Zach Bryan concert on down in Dublin for 3 days, which would have taken people away. So, you know, I think when you take things like that into account, it was a brilliant crowd to have up there. And like I said, it is nice. You know, I know you're not in the car to be looking out the window. But exactly as Arthur said, every now and again when you do stick the head up and you see a massive crowd, it just does make you feel like you're maybe part of a bigger event, and that's nice every now and again to get that. You know, like I said, some days, some rallies maybe it's on a wet day, kind of in the middle of the winter type thing. You mightn't see anyone on the ditch for a couple of kilometers, so it's nice to see a big crowd around and feel like that it's part of a big event.
And Meirion there, and Andy mentioned the weather, and I suppose weather was grand until Sunday morning. And did that throw, you know, a spanner in the works, kind of trying to make a decision, or were you fairly confident bolting on the tires, leaving service?
No, not really. I wasn't confident at all. I think that loop just showed like what a compromise it all was, and then we all ended up pretty much in the same place again. I think Callum took 7 off me on the first stage. I took 0.2 on the second and another 7, and we ended up back in service with the same gap. But yeah, it made it tricky because I think the thing is, like, the first 2 days have been so easy in terms of tyre choice. I mean, it was dry, and you know, you pretty much you put the hardest thing you could find on the car. But then obviously that happened Sunday, and you have to kind of switch your mind on again to even driving a bit differently, because you know, when you have the grip we had for the first 2 days, you know, when that gets taken away, you have to adapt a bit. But in fairness, I think Callum, he had a good push on that first stage on a Sunday morning. You know, there was a good few marks up ditches and stuff that you know, even halfway through the stage, I was thinking, right, he's pushing on quite hard here. And to be fair, I don't know what it was, but like it was just, I couldn't get the thing to work properly. You know, maybe the tires we were on maybe were a little bit hard, and they just didn't switch on early enough. And yeah, just I think if we'd have stuck our neck out to that degree, I think we'd have been in a field somewhere.
Andy, you had that difficulty on Sunday. You had that, you know, threat of rain, and there was a bit of skiff of rain before the stage started. Yeah, then you also went to the other extreme of melting tar and fanning. You know, like, how difficult was it coping with those conditions?
Yeah, for us, it was a pity, really. We had been thinking about going on the Michelin 21 until about 5 minutes to go, which would have been perfect for Fanad and Atlantic Drive, as it turns out. And I suppose 3 minutes to go, we just looked out, and a shower rain fell in the service there, and we said, oh no, that's a stupid idea. We look like dickheads. So went back to the softer tyre, and yeah, sure enough, it was grand in the first stage. And then the second 2, then it was gone. It was gone into the Atlantic Drive, and Fanad Head was a bit of a disaster then. Like, so it was a pity. We kind of said to ourselves, you know, maybe that might have just helped us get a little bit of a jump on Arthur and David, if he had got the right tyre there. But yeah, like as Meirion said, it's probably a compromise either way. Either you're going to have the tyre to suit the first stage, or you're going to have it to suit the second 2. But there was no perfect tyre to suit the whole thing, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, because I suppose like that's the you know, Cairn Hill's an inland stage, where the other 2 is a coastal stage, and if there was if the rain stopped and there was a bit of a breeze, they were going to dry up in no time because the ground temperature was so warm.
Yeah, exactly. Up around that part of exactly up on Fanad and up on Atlantic Drive on the peninsula there, like the wind is coming in, it burns the water off the road so quickly, like it dries up in a few minutes only. Like, so you can really see it drying if you're standing watching it. So I suppose that's probably kicking ourselves a little bit because like we know that, if you know what I mean, that's not our first time been up there. We know that's the way it goes, and we probably should have taken the chance that it was going to dry. Particularly where we were, probably because we didn't really have an awful lot to lose, if you know what I mean. It was probably worth a gamble. So look, you can't win them all. So as I said, we took the probably the safer option, and at the end of the day, it was fine, but with no advantage.
Because Arthur, like, it is that kind of, do you be brave and risk it all, but then at the same time you don't want to throw it all away, eh?
Yeah, no, you're right, Kevin. Yeah, we were in the same boat as well. We took the safer option. Like we probably had settled for the fourth position, and then we carried 2 spares, and changed them then before Atlantic Drive. I suppose the corners, the amount of corners that's on Atlantic Drive, the wets, in the back or the soft, so they were letting go a bit. There's like a bit like a Mark II going through the drive, but everyone was supposed in the same boat. And then we got to Fanad, it just wasn't as bad. Maybe there's done as many corners, a lot of straights too, and you maybe kept the tyre a wee bit cooler on that. But no, it worked out okay then in the end. Happy enough.
And you often hear about the guys in the WRC, they're carrying 2 spares. It puts a different complexion, different feeling to the car. Do you feel that coming through as well too?
Oh yeah, sure. Do you ever lift a wheel like this? You're carrying that extra weight. What is it? What would it be? 20 kilos?
20 kilos.
Eh?
20 kilos, yeah.
Yeah. You're carrying an extra 20 kilos. And it's all you do. It probably upsets the car a wee bit too. Sets the balance on it. The less weight you have, the faster you're going to go. But you have to use the head too, and odd time, to get finished on it. You were thinking of the championship as well. Pick up points too for the championship.
Yeah, because Meirion, I suppose that was the one thing you hadn't the championship to worry about. But then there's no point being a hero and lying on the roof somewhere either.
No, we didn't want to do that. Actually, wouldn't be too popular, but still, you kind of, in that weather, I mean, even like the gap we had, we weren't going to do it in one stage, right. One of those. But it kind of, when Callum got that bit in the first one, we kind of accepted that he'd have to make a mistake after that. Still, we went quite hard, like through Fanad, we had a very good run. That was more to cover John off, to be fair, because I was aware that, John, obviously off the form of the weekend, could just pull a time out of nowhere, and I didn't want to have to do anything crazy on the last loop. So yeah, we had a very good run in Fanad the first time. I think even though we were on like the softest slick Pirelli have on a bone dry road, we were still faster than our fastest time in there last year on a proper tyre for the conditions. So, I think again it goes back to how much it had come on. But yeah, so I mean, for the afternoon then we had to hope Callum did something similar to what he did last year, but he didn't, unfortunately, and that was that. But yeah, it's tricky in that weather. Like I said, when you've had 2 dry days to go and adapt and go on tyres you haven't used all weekend, and our setup is a bit different, and try not to make a mistake but still try to go fast, it's very hard.
And then Liam, unfortunately, you slid off the road on the Saturday afternoon. Was it frustrating? Do you think you're only 8 or 10 seconds behind? Could the roll of the dice on Sunday maybe play to your favour being on Pirelli tyres?
I was wondering when you were going to ask me about my tyre choice on Sunday. Felt a bit out of the loop there. My tyre choice was sitting in Belfast about 10 o'clock in the morning. Look, with the tyres scenario, we had never driven on a Michelin dry tyre. So we'd only ever used the first round of the British Championship. We were on a soft and a wet. So we'd never driven the car on a dry road. And in fact, all through the rally, we were probably on the wrong tyre. Well, that's my opinion, William. We were so far away with the setup. We wanted to maintain sort of consistency on the tyre front, and then try and go for a harder tyre. But we were in the unknown with the tyre. So the team's very good helping us out because Meirion has experience of using that tyre, and we have experience of using the tyre Meirion's on.
Yeah, that's the funny dynamic this year is William and Liam have great experience of Pirelli tyres but are using Michelin, and I have a lot of experience of Michelin, but I'm using Pirelli. So
between the two crews at some stage would be right, but a lot of the time the two crews would be wrong.
First round of the BRC was funny because I think for the first loop of the year, William made my tyre call for me, and I made his for him.
So, but two very good tires, like a bit like we said earlier with the Rally2 cars. Certain scenarios, and I remember going through this with Alistair Fisher. Certain scenarios will suit the other tire. You know, they're both good tires. Like,
You could see that as well. I mean, from where Callum made his time on me was because I think the Michelin, when it's wet, was probably a bit better, and then when it dried out, the Pirelli was a bit more durable. So.
Yeah, so for us on Sunday, I was driving down the road and it was lashing rain, and I was thinking, okay, we're not in the race anymore here, but it would definitely be tricky heading out, especially because those other two stages up in the north are very abrasive, as Andy said there. So, you know, you're always probably going to be on a compromise. We probably would have had some experience going on a cross pattern, you know, two different tires from the WRC, but I mean, you're 40 kg in the boot. Then you know you're carrying two spurs. So, yeah, that's something we haven't really learned so much here with the Michelin this year. We just need to be in the car more really to learn that, and hopefully we'll build up our experience.
Mm-hmm. And like, we have to pay tribute to Callum and Noel too. They drove a fantastic rally. They weren't the fastest crew over the weekend, but they did. They were fastest when it mattered.
I'm not actually sure. Did they have how many fastest times did they have? Like not that many.
No.
I was thinking about it there after Rally2. You know, was it 1 year Callum was leading and he hit the Beale chicane on the Sunday morning?
22, yeah.
You know, so he's staring down the barrel there of having 4 in a row. Obviously a small mistake, you know. So he's been so consistent up there. And I remember in 2016 we were racing him 16 or 17. I can't remember. He was in the Opel Adam. And he was rapid in the Opel Adam up there too. So you've got to hand it to him. He's stuck at that rally. He's put the hard yards in, and he's got 3 victories there. So I mean, hats off to the two of them. It's very impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like Andy, as you know, it's hard enough 1-1, but 1-3 in a row, like that it takes a lot of commitment from both sides of the car and the whole team as well.
Oh yeah, fairness to lads, I was talking to Noel there, sure. I forgot, what they've got now, 4 Clarnies in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 Donegals, and on the verge of 3 Tarmac Championships in a row as well, so that all takes some effort. It takes some effort to do 1 Donegal, it takes an awful lot of effort to do 1 championship, but to get 3 in a row, that's serious going.
Mm-hmm. Because Meirion, you've done it with Manus and all too, but like there's a real steadiness now about Callum and Noel too. Like, they don't make many mistakes, you know. If you're relying on them making a mistake, you're going to wait a while.
No, I mean, we had this chat after Killarney, because for me in Killarney, like, on balance, I would say we probably had the measure of him to a degree, because we beat him on every stage that wasn't like a Killarney Classic, if you get me. Then, but in Gortnagan, Ballochbeamer and the Gap, I guess he knew he was going to make a difference there. I wasn't there last year, so
he had to measure you there, Meirion, really? Like,
exactly, he knew what he was doing. So, it kind of surprised me, because obviously, like, Liam and Will in Donegal, like, we hadn't done a tarmac rally since February, and I thought they would have walked away. But I think Callum he's quite a measured guy, and I guess he just knew when to go. Like, because at the end of the first day, I was thinking, like, I could do this, but then when you realise that how good he is at Moll's Gap and then Ballochbeamer, and I think he just, the same with Donegal, he probably knew when to crack. And yeah, I think if Liam and Will had got through Gary Gort for it being such a short stage, I think there could have been a different story on Sunday, in terms of there would have been a lot more pressure on, because the gap would have only been like 4 to 5 seconds, and then we could be talking about a different thing here. But still, I mean, what happened, and that's that.
Mm-hmm. And like, and the fairness too, like Will and Liam too, the first time like competing in Donegal in a car capable of winning the rally, and to take the fight and come away and show Hayden Padden, John Armstrong, all the European guys and all that, a clean pair of heels and a very consistent. And like, Liam, you straight below the radar. Nobody was really talking about you before the rally.
Yeah, probably because we haven't been out so much, really. That's I think that's why we were under the radar. We went there really to learn the car. We didn't go there to race Callum or anyone else over Nogala. We had it in our head that we wouldn't be in the race. We're going to try, but it wasn't, for us, it wasn't about that. It was about learning the car and getting the setup right. So, yeah, I mean, you got to remember too, William and John and Padden have been at world or European level for quite a while. And to go to world level, you put in a lot of effort in every area. So it's great to have those boys coming back to a rally like Donegal, racing the local experts and putting on a really good show for all the spectators. The weather was class. The rally had a real feel-good factor about it. Like, it is one of those rallies. Andy said earlier, it was a really good point, actually. You could do 10 rallies in a year, but the older lady in the street will say, "Are you doing Donegal?" And in fact, of a friend of mine, Kieran Maguire, there, he just talks about the rally because there's no other rally that matters other than Donegal. You're doing the rally. So, look, we were happy with what we did. Obviously, we didn't know we had the puncture. Watching back in the onboard, yes, you can see where we picked it up. But we're relatively happy with the miles we put in. Hopefully, it'll stand to us for Ceredigion and going around those stages that Meirion doesn't know. And hopefully we'll try and get a good result in the British Championship tarmac rounds with 3 rounds left, 2 on gravel and 1 on tarmac. So, yeah, Donegal was good. Maybe we'll make it back one year. I don't know, but it'd be nice.
And Liam, those stages that Meirion doesn't know, will you have to drive over them to get to and from Meirion's?
We were there a couple of weeks ago, and I was driving along the road section. I thought, or on the road from your house, Meirion, to the airport.
Yeah, probably would have been. Yeah.
Listen, I recognise this road, and we came across from one of last year's stages. So now the regs are out. Actually, we need to make sure we're nowhere near any of those roads. For the Nicky Grist this weekend, actually. So
yeah, you'd be far enough away. You'd be fine.
How do you know?
Whoever has the stage maps up on behind.
That's just
they're blurred out.
Yeah, as Andy says, those are the maps on the wall for this year. You've just blurred them out so no one can see them.
On the other side of the screen up there. I'm looking
at joking aside, Donegal was great. Like, it was a great atmosphere. Yeah, we're happy with how we carried ourselves off, and maybe one year we'll come back and have another go.
And like Arthur, you've been doing the rally for 30 years. You said it's probably one of the best ones you've done. Even the rally has got better and better, but the number of crews now it's going to the likes of Donegal or any of the Tarmac Championship rounds with a chance of winning. Probably over the years there's been maybe 3, 4, sometimes 2, but now there's 7, 8, 10 guys going there thinking they're in with a chance of winning. We're in a real purple patch of Irish rally at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, any crew that's going to Donegal, in the whole field, you go and put on a performance. You have to be on top of your game, because it's only you've what a maximum 180 entries, and maybe there was 200 or 300 entries in, and when you do get an entry, you want to put on your best performance from car 1 to the back, and that's attitude with everybody, to try and put on a good performance and try and get a good result, in your class. The modified section, if you even look at it, how the guys were going as well. They were flying too.
For sure, yeah. Uh-huh. And Andy, right from the start of the year up to June, it's all about the build up. It's all about the rally, And now the rally's over. The other rally's coming up now in September, and all these other events now between now and then is just mileage for it as well, are they?
Yeah, well, it's good that the shakedown for Wexford is over anyway. It's got 3 days rally under the belt and ready to go now. So, rumour has it that William, Meirion, and David are all coming into Wexford this year.
3 entries for the top 3 in Donegal, is it?
For the last 30 years.
At least we can win the real rally, eh? Have a go at it anyway.
But Wexford is becoming a greater sum of its parts now too. 2 full days of rally and 18 stages. It's becoming a real wee hidden gem.
Yeah, I suppose. Look, we're never going to be a Donegal or anything close to it. But what we did set out a few years ago was we said, look, we're a coastal county with some nice coastal stages, some scenic stages, and some kind of unique kind of roads that we probably hadn't been really using for a few years. So we took a decision a few years ago to say, you know what, let's put on the best rally we can for the competitor, and let's go back to the 3x3 stage format on both days. Give the competitor 18 stages, give them, you know, over 200 kilometers of good stages to drive on, and try and pick stages that were naturally kind of at the right average speeds, so you weren't putting a lot of chicanes in, that kind of stuff. Try to pick stages that were naturally twisty and there's a bit of driving in them without just having to have blasts and straights and chicanes and that kind of stuff. So that was a big thing, and there's a lot of people behind the scenes doing an awful lot of work trying to get those stages. There's a couple of them, I suppose, that we run now. Salt Mills is one of them that some of the guys will know of. It's kind of becoming our, I suppose, our ring in West Cork or our Knockalla. It takes an awful lot to run it. There's a lot of holiday homes on it, but I suppose that's what the effort is, to put on that good rally. And at the minute there, I suppose we're trying then to bring it back into Exeter also. So the rally for a number of years ran in HQs outside of town, whereas this year comes back into White's Hotel on the main street. So brand new HQ, and the hotel, to be fair to them, have really come on board with us. And they have offered to run a barbecue on a Sunday night. So the hotel has been walking. It's Spark Ferme. You come back to Spark Ferme on the quay, on Wexford Quayfront on Sunday afternoon. You have just a couple of 100 meters walk up to the hotel, and they're throwing on a free barbecue for all the competitors. So you can go up and get yourself a burger and a pint of beer, and just have a relax for half an hour, and then go back down and get your car out of Park Ferme, or arrange your service good to get the car out there and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to just do something like that to make it a bit more of an event, if you know what I mean. Good ceremony to start on a Friday evening, again brought up right into the centre of town, and then a couple of the local pubs, and we have a kind of I suppose an area of the town where it's where all the nightlife happens, and a couple of the pubs there have come on board as well and offered to run a service crew party on the Saturday evening for the service crews, so they have somewhere to go, and all meet up together and have a kind of a focal point in town, something similar maybe to McCafferty's in Letterkenny type of effort. And the same actually on Thursday evening, that they're running live music for recce crews, so that anyone coming into to recce on Thursday then will have somewhere to go. So we're trying to make a social event out of it, if you know what I mean, and have a place there where maybe it's not a round of a championship that isn't everyone's focal point for that reason, but instead maybe it's a rally where people go, you know what, that's just a good weekend away, and the service crews enjoy it, and the families enjoy it, the competitors enjoy it, the stages are good, the crack is good, and that type of thing. So that's what the whole idea is to make a big event of it. And this year then, I suppose the big thing we're trying to do is run a larger prize fund again than last year. So last year we ran it with a €10,000 prize fund, and this year we've upped that to a €15,000 prize fund. The big one obviously is the overall winner. It's €5,000 to the winner, and €3,000 to the top modified car. And then the difference this year to last year is that there's another €7,000 which has been spread across the classes. So we've grouped the classes into 7 groups. I've tried to do it roughly on the kind of, I suppose, the speed and the budget of each car. So for instance, class 1, 9 and 10 are a single group, and class 12 and 13 are a group. For prize money purposes only, they're obviously normal classes for the results of the rally. Then say for instance class 4 and class 20 run together as a group, and the winner of each of those 7 groups gets €1,000 each as well. So that's the idea, being that if you're in a class 1 or class 9 or class 10 car, you actually have a realistic chance of going down racing cars of your peer kind of level and racing for €1,000 over the course of the weekend. And I suppose the hope is that, you know, people come down and they enjoy the weekend, enjoy the crack, they win a few bob, and they stay the Sunday night. Hopefully, is what we're trying to do, is make it a Sunday night as well, and we turn into the extra bank holiday Monday effectively, and just make an event out of it, exactly as you say, Kevin. It'll never be in Donegal, but hopefully maybe it can be a mini Donegal in the southeast in the autumn time.
Yeah, because that was kind of the West Cork sort of modus operandi for a good few years too, and it was because it was close to the ports and all, it attracted a lot of Welsh crews over as well too, and I'm sure you'd be appealing to people jump on the boat. It's only a quick short trip across.
Exactly, yeah, that's what we're always trying to advertise to the guys over in Wales. Meirion, I'm sure it'll say the same. It's probably easier for Meirion to get to Exeter than it is to go to Scotland. So, you know, to jump on the ferry and Fishguard and get across. And then we try and finish up the rally on a Sunday evening as well, in such a way that the guys can get the last boat home. So, you know, if guys do want to get back home and get across, they can. The other thing we try and do, we've done this year, is that the two loops of 3 stages each are nice and tight. They're relatively close together. If you really wanted to, you could come over or come down on Thursday evening and do one long day recce on Friday. You would be able to do a single or a 3-pass recce over all the stages in one day. It would be a long day, it wouldn't be recommended, but for people that are tight on time, it means that they could possibly get away on Thursday evening, do a 2-day rally and get back home in their own bed for Sunday night again. And obviously we'd rather stay till Monday and enjoy themselves, but I suppose that's part of it, to try and make it competitor friendly, and to try and entice people down.
Excellent. And Meirion, then for you, it's back BRC again now, and Nicky Grist back onto the gravel again. Is there much of a transition between the tarmac and the gravel? Is it a completely different mindset?
Quite different, especially for me, because I'm only just trying to work out what to do or how to work the car on gravel. So, yeah, look, we got to an okay place at the start of the year, but the first gravel rally and the BRC didn't really go our way. We got stuck in somebody's dust and we lost like 4 or 5 positions over it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we're doing a Nicky Grist this weekend. It's close to home for me. I did it for the first time in like 7 or 8 years last year, and I loved it. Like, I missed, to be honest, some of the gravel roads we have in Wales. So, yeah, we're actually, me and William are joint leading the championship, I think. So, no pressure now. But yeah, look, if we can go and have a solid run on the Grampian, the thing with the Grampian is it was quite a lot of punches there last year. So, if you can avoid them, you might come away with something half decent. And then obviously I have the home rally on tarmac, and yeah, I mean, just try and do the best we can.
Pressure's on you, Meirion.
No pressure on me. Yeah, you're the boy that should have won it last year, so.
Shoulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah. And Liam, similar question to yourself then too, like back onto the gravel, well, I'm assuming there'll be a pre-event test, but then straight into it Saturday morning?
Yeah, Nicky Grist this weekend. It's a brilliant rally. I first did it in a Fiesta ST in 2007, Meirion, was it? You could probably help me there.
6 or 7.
2006, 2007, and funny, I'm only after watching the video of Route 60. That's the first time I've seen that bit of road in all those years, and yeah, brilliant stages. So we're using it as a warm up for the Grampian. We need to get back onto the gravel. We need to do some more testing with the car. So Melvin's boys are very helpful and a great help to us. So that's our warm up for the Grampian. As Meirion said, we had bad luck in the Grampian last year. We got the puncture award. Every time we looked at a stage, we had a flat tire. So we're going to try and avoid that. And then, yeah, Caradigan in Meirion's backyard, and then the last one in Cambrian. So we're going to visit Wheels a few times here over the next 3 or 4 months. So look, we're looking forward to it. It's a great team. It's a great car. And we're very lucky thanks to MI Rally Academy. Otherwise we wouldn't be doing these rallies. So, yeah, looking forward to it. It's good.
Arthur, I suppose last one to you then.
You're still awake, Arthur? Are you?
Liam must be nearly as old as you.
Turn the lights back on.
David Electric.
Arthur, Liam must be nearly old as you, because he's come back to the 2000s and all that, competing in the SD Fiestas. He's still a young fella.
But I done it when I was 5, Kevin. I was the youngest competitor, 5 years old.
But for Arthur, for you, it's Sligo coming up now in a couple of weeks. And
yeah, well, I'm going to the Nicky Grist. I'm doing the Nicky Grist as well.
Right.
With Brenton Comiskey in R4 car.
Right.
And then Sligo. That's the only event I've never done. I've never done the Wexford 2-day. It's the only one in I've never done it. So hopefully the year.
You may get the Pinto lined up for it. There's €1,000 for it.
Down and take the prize money of Andy.
You'll guess the butter after if you come on down. We'll turn on the lights and everything.
Yeah, fantastic to hear from David and Arthur, Meirion, Andy and Liam. And again, we had a great conversation. Unfortunately, David had to go early during it, but we could have sit and chatted on for a couple of hours there, I think, Kevin, getting all the stories and what was going on behind the scenes. That's for
sure. And then I also got a chance to catch up with Tony Sheilds. Tony, the guy that has the replica of the Vincent Bonner Manta. A car that was actually built here in Donegal too, so nice wee story to bring it back home again too. So let's hear from Tony. So Tony, Manta 400, you brought it over to do Donegal Historics. What was why a Manta?
Yeah, well, I'm going to the Nicky Grist. I'm doing the Nicky Grist as well. Right? But Brenton Comiskey in R4 car. And then Sligo.
Right.
They are, basically, I had some Ford Escorts, and I've done forest rallies. I've done the RAC, and many years ago, I've been over and done the Circuit of Ireland and the Ulster a couple of times. And I do like tarmac rallying. Now, sort of going back about 5-6 years ago, my son-in-law asked me if I wanted to go see a guy called Yuck Hodgson near York. And he's got quite a character, he's Yuck, and everybody knows him in the area and stuff like that. He's well known. And when I went to see him, he's showing me around his workshop and everything else. And he had an Opel Manta body shell on the ramp. And he said to me, he said, "Hey, look at this, Tony." He said, "This is the best Manta body shell you'll ever see." And I ended up buying it, and just to make a wage on. And when I went to collect it, he gave me a telephone number of a guy in London to ring, and it turned out to be Bernard Glacking. And a friend of mine delivered the car down for me, and when he came back, this friend of mine is really into his Opels in a big way. And he said, "Oh, the guy's got an Ascona 400, and he's going to build this Manta into a full 400 rally car." And consequently, a few years later, I got the photographs of it, and I thought, what an absolutely stunning car. And I kept seeing it advertised and for sale. And then I saw it down at Race Retro and had a good look round it. And I thought, I did fall in love with the car, but I didn't really think I'd ever sort of get to buy it. Anyway, I was talking to a friend of mine who has an Opel Manta, and we got talking about this particular car. And I thought, I'm going to chase it up and see if I can do a deal on it. And I managed to do a deal with Bernard for it. So I bought it Christmas before last, and I've sort of not looked back since. I really do like the car, but it did need a lot of work doing on it to make it right before I brought it to Donegal. Immediately when I got it, I was invited to go do a sprint, and I was getting invited to shows with it, and sort of track days and things like that. And people wanted to see it at different events and stuff. Did a couple of hill climbs with it, and enjoyed it, but the car never really handled right. Anyway, I decided this year, I thought, I'm getting an entry in for the Donegal. I'm going to go do it. And I set to starting to prep the car, and I had all sorts of issues with the front suspension, and it was too low at the back, and the back axle were actually bent a little bit and stuff. And anyway, I went through it and worked through the car. So when I went to Donegal, it was basically like driving a new car. I'd never really driven it. And it was my first time on the Donegal rally. And I was really pleased with the way it handled it. I sort of, all the work that I'd put in really paid dividends.
Yeah, because I suppose Bernard, he built it as a show car to be used at events. It was never really built as a competition car as such, so you can kind of understand why the car was the way it was. It was never meant to be a workhorse. It was more of a show horse.
Yeah, probably so. But I did have to put an awful lot of work into it to get it right. But don't get me wrong, the car, the body shell, the engine, and things like that. I mean, I did have problems with the gearbox. I ended up going to Belgium to get the gearbox rebuilt on it.
Right.
Couldn't find anybody in this country to do it. So that was a bit of a long story. I did take it somewhere in England, and they made a complete botch of it. So I ended up having to take it over to Belgium to get it sorted last year. And a guy over there called Jeff Boyd, who specialises in the Getrag boxes, did a fantastic job on it. Really pleased with what he did. And it transformed it because you just couldn't get the gears properly with it. But no, when I went over to Donegal, it was quite a daunting experience, not having driven the car in real anger before. And to be honest, I sort of got into it really quick because I'm used to driving Escorts, and I've driven front wheel drive, and I'm sort of fairly adaptable, really. But the Manta is a different technique to Escorts. They don't drive the same as an Escort.
Yeah, because they are quite long, aren't they? And a lot more overhang than there would be with an Escort. No, too.
Yeah, and a few people have told me that said you can't drive it like an Escort. I think Jimmy, they've been seeing Jimmy McRae and another guy called Ian Holt, and they've all said it's a different technique. And it is, you have to sort of take more racing lines with it than sort of just throwing it at the corners as you would with an Escort.
Yeah, and they are, you say the reaction you were getting at shows and all with it, they are, because they were such a popular car back in the mid-80s and all, but they all just seem to disappear. You hardly ever see a Manta now where an Escort, there's so many of them, it's unbelievable. Escorts, and it's so unique.
That was another factor. Like I say, I got asked to take it to the Classic Car Show last year, I presume we'll be going again this year. And Revolution Wheels wanted it on their stand, and it sort of really has. I took it to a show just a couple of nights ago, a local show where they'd rung me up and asked me if I'd take it to them. So it is well liked wherever I go, and the reception we had in Ireland were fantastic.
Yeah, and because like even being a Manta is unique enough, and it's not even done up in the Andrews colours or the AC Delco colours. The colour scheme, beautiful colour scheme, but very unusual as well.
It is, yeah. I mean, it is unusual, and when I first bought it, I had people saying to me, "Oh, you're going to change colours on it?" I said, "No, I love it." I said, "I think it's just fantastic and very different as it is."
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't change it at all.
And then, as you say, then the decision was made to come over to Donegal. You were part of the ceremonial start. The car was on display, and like the amount of people that was over looking at it, and I'm sure you heard like all the stories that people remembering that the car that that Vincent drove back in it was 1989, 90 at that stage.
That's the one, yeah, 1990 it was, yeah. Yeah, I've watched the videos many a times. I don't think I'll never be able to emulate Vincent, but I gave it a good shot on the rally anyway. Towards the end, we were putting some fairly good times in, but I realised you just can't compete with the Irish lads. They're so quick.
And like, what did you make of that ceremonial start? It was unbelievable, wasn't it? The crowd, the atmosphere, and the weather too.
Just amazing. Like I say, for me, I've done Mull several times, and I've done Manx Rally several times, and I've been to lots of events. I went over to France with the Manta to do the Legends event at Loyac, but Donegal's just something else. It's a different event altogether. The reception and the crack and everything, it's just incredible. I definitely want to go again next year.
Excellent. And then the stages, like you were with the Historics, you compete on the Saturday and the Sunday, and you got all the iconic stages: Knockalla, Glen, Fanad, Atlantic Drive. These are names to me that just roll off my tongue. But had those stages a reputation before you'd seen them?
No, they're all new to me. All new, but really good stages. They flowed well. The roads were good. I can't say that I've got a favourite. I just enjoyed all of them. I did notice the difference in size with the Manta on Marine Drive, though. There's some tight twisties. Yes. In a few places where you could easily knock a corner off it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And did you get a chance to meet Vincent when you were over for the weekend?
No, I were hoping to meet him, but never came across him.
Yeah. Because he's the most loveliest man, but he's very quiet, and you would have to go find him. He would never come looking for you, kind of a thing,
I see. Yeah, no, I'd hoped I'd bump into him, but no.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year, yeah.
And like as you say, like the atmosphere, and the welcome you got. Like, was there people waving at you going down the stages and all that too? Because it was such a chance for spectators to relive the memories.
Yeah, I had lots of people coming up and saying it's fantastic to see a Manta out again, and people saying it was a favourite car and stuff like that. So yeah, it was great. We just loved every part of it. I mean, my navigator Graham does an awful lot of events, but he rates it as one of the best he's ever done.
Yeah, that for our wee rally here up in the northwest of Ireland, that just speaks volumes. Like, and we were blessed this year with the weather and all that too, but like, whenever you get the chance to drive those coastal roads, like, it doesn't get much better than that. There, you're on really good roads. You're in an iconic car. Yeah, that's probably a pinch yourself moment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean the view from Knockalla when you're recceing and stuff, it's just unbelievable. But I didn't realise at Knockalla you need to recce it more than a couple of times. So. And I've realised if I come back next year, I will spend more time recceing and try and be a bit more committed.
Yeah, and like, we've seen now the way historic rallying has took off now in the last few years as well too. The top guys in the historics are setting times that wouldn't be far away in the modified field. Like the BMs are not far off the class 14 escorts, and the BDAs and that are up there in the up along with the class 13, the 2 litre guys. Yeah,
they are. They're so quick. I mean, we have noticed. I mean, to be honest with you, I did the Argyle last year, and we finished first in class and third overall in historics, and that was a British Championship event. And we've won as class on Mull a few times, 3 years on the trot. I won my class on Manx a couple of years ago. But it's just a completely different game in Ireland. I was slightly disappointed, really, but we did have one or two slight issues. I picked the wrong tyres on Sunday morning, and then I think it was something like stage 16. The engine cut out on us and stopped mid-stage. It was actually the fuel pump that had gone down.
Oh, yeah.
But we probably lost 25 seconds, cost us a few places. But all in all, we were very pleased. We got the car around in one piece. And from doing so much work on it prior to the event, it was a relief to get round, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and if you come back next year, which we hope we do, will there be a few more wee tweaks to the car before you come back again?
Yeah, one or two, not many. I don't think there's much I can do with it, really. Maybe stiffen suspension up or change roll bars a little bit. But like I say, going from an Escort to that, it is a very different car. Towards the end, I think we were going quite well. I didn't sort of try and compare myself against locals and stuff, because you can't. But I did compare myself against a few English lads that I know, and we were sort of beating them. So I was quite pleased with that, really.
Yeah, because as you say, it's a new car, a new style of driving, and and I suppose in the back of your head too, you didn't want to hit it the first time, sort of driving it competitively. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Is that I had my thinking head on, if you like.
Yeah. If you had to find 3 or 4 seconds, the race face could have come on then.
Yeah. But no, we thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But a few weeks ago, I went over to do the Legends event in France, and that's a case of you really struggle to get an entry on it.
Yeah.
And there's 200 odd cars, and they're just exotic, fancy cars and everything from all over Europe. And basically, they'd said in an email that anybody who enters, in a fortnight's time, will go through and decide who's coming and who's not coming. And I actually did my entry with some photographs on the Thursday night, and Friday I had an email saying you're in. Once they saw the car, they wanted it there.
Yes.
And again, it was really well received. They loved it. So it seems to have opened doors for me, really. I'm in the Manta.
Yeah, I think if that had been in your Escort, you'd have been just the luck of a random draw. But the Manta, as you say, opened up the door for you.
Yeah, I don't think I'd have gotten into it Escort.
Yeah,
it was just the car.
Yeah,
and that might have been the case on Donegal. I'm not sure.
And as well as that too, the way the car has been developed over the years now too, the 2.4 engine now, you're in probably close to maybe over 300 brake horsepower. For back in the day, they were 275, 280 brake horsepower, weren't they?
They were, yeah. No, it does pull like a train.
Yeah.
And I think towards the end we were sort of getting the best out of it. We were putting some good times in, really. My navigator Graham's a really experienced navigator, and I think he was a bit surprised that we were as low as we were, because he said if we'd have been back in the UK, we'd have been in top 5.
But this was only the pre-event test for 2026, really.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we'll try it a lot. We'll try a lot harder next year, and we'll do a better recce and everything. But I was using some tyres. I'd used Cooper tyres, which I'd never used before, and maybe I run them a bit. They were maybe a too soft a compound, but all in all, I think it went really well. And once I got the knack at car, I really enjoyed it. We were going reasonably well.
Yeah.
I only got passed once on the whole event by a modern spec Escort, so I don't
You'll take that.
I'll take that, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Well, Tony, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and we look forward to welcoming you back in 2026.
Yeah, and I might try and get over for something else in between if I can.
So thanks to Tony there, and hopefully we'll see him in 2026. So that's the latest episode of Krunching Gears, the Rally podcast. Please like, share, rate, subscribe. Keep doing what you're doing. And until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.
That's the proudest day and the proudest time and the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets, and Donald says to me, "What are we doing?" I said, "We're going for gold, Barrett." That's all we said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.